He had no idea that a simple silver watch would destroy everything he believed in. That morning, José Daniel stood by the glass counter of a small jewelry shop, holding something he thought could fix what words could not. A gift. Not an expensive one, not something grand, but something chosen with care. A symbol of love, of loyalty, of a man who still believed that maybe she loved him the same way he loved her. The clerk wrapped the watch in a velvet box and smiled. "It's a beautiful choice," she said. José returned a faint smile, tucking the box into his jacket. If only beauty could fix the cracks he felt growing at home. The rain had just begun to fall when he reached his wife's office. The building towered above him, polished glass, golden lights, the kind of place where people walked fast and never looked back. Inside, he spotted her through the open door. Damaris, perfect hair, perfect voice, perfectly distant. He took a deep breath and stepped in. "Good morning, my love," he said softly. Her eyes widened, not with joy, but with discomfort. "José, what are you doing here? You can't just—" "I brought you something," he interrupted, placing the box on her desk. "Something to remind you that I still see you, still believe in us." For a moment she froze. Then she sighed. "This isn't the right place," she whispered, glancing around nervously as her coworkers tried to pretend they weren't listening. "Just open it," he said gently. "Please." The sound of the box opening was almost sacred. Inside, the silver watch shimmered beneath the fluorescent lights, but instead of smiling, she frowned. "It's nice," she said quietly. "But you shouldn't have come here." The silence that followed felt endless. She handed the box back. "Please, José, I'm working." He nodded, his heart tightening like a fist. As he walked out of the office, a voice from behind whispered, "She doesn't love him anymore." He turned, but no one met his eyes. Only the echo of laughter, the kind that cuts deeper than any blade. And right there, in that cold hallway filled with whispers and light, he felt it, the beginning of the end. That night, José couldn't sleep. The silver box sat on his table, unopened, the watch now nothing more than a painful reminder of a love slowly fading away. He replayed the moment again and again in his head. Her cold tone, the way she looked past him, the way she avoided his touch as if it burned. It wasn't just work. Something had changed, and deep down, he knew it. The next morning, as he arrived at the cafe near her office, a coworker he barely knew approached him. "José," the man said carefully, "you seem like a good guy, but if you really want to know what's happening, come tomorrow, around noon. You'll see it for yourself." José frowned. "See what?" But the man had already left, leaving behind only those words, heavy, poisonous, impossible to ignore. That night, he sat alone with his coffee going cold, staring at the wedding photo hanging on the wall. There she was, Damaris, smiling, radiant, holding his hand as if it were her favorite thing in the world. But the woman in that picture felt like a ghost now. By noon the next day, his heart was pounding as he stood near her office again. He told himself it was foolish, that love required trust, that people make mistakes. But then, through the glass doors, he saw it. Damaris, laughing, her hand brushing against another man's shoulder, her eyes shining in a way they hadn't for him in years. The man leaned closer, too close, and she didn't stop him. The air left José's lungs. The world went still. For a second, he couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It wasn't anger that consumed him. It was disbelief that someone he trusted with his soul could look at another man like that. He stepped back slowly, afraid someone would see the truth breaking inside him. That night, when she came home, he waited in silence. "Damaris," he said finally, "do you love me?" She looked up, startled. "Why would you ask that?" "Because today, I saw your answer." Her eyes darkened. Then coldly, she said the words that ended everything. "I can't keep pretending anymore, Jose. I'm sorry." He stood there shattered as the woman he once thought he knew walked past him, taking his heart, his trust, and the illusion of forever with her. And that was the moment he realized. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come with thunder. Sometimes it whispers, quietly, like goodbye. The morning after the breakup felt heavier than any night before. José Daniel walked through the streets with no real destination, just the weight of silence pressing on his chest. The city was awake, but his world was still asleep in grief. He passed couples laughing at cafe tables, parents holding their children's hands, and for the first time in years, he felt invisible. His phone buzzed once, an old coworker checking in, asking if he was okay. He didn't reply. What could he say? That his heart had been traded for ambition? That love had become a business deal he never agreed to? As he turned the corner, a familiar voice called out, "Jose!" He froze. It was Alejandra, one of Damaris's colleagues, the quiet one who always smiled politely in meetings. She looked at him with genuine concern. "I heard about what happened. I'm so sorry." Jose forced a weak smile. "Don't be, it's just life, I guess." But she didn't walk away. Instead, she stood beside him, not out of pity, but out of something deeper. "I know what that kind of pain feels like," she said softly, "when you give your best to someone and they turn it into dust." Her words hit him like truth spoken from experience. They sat on a bench nearby, the kind of quiet spot where people come to breathe again. Alejandra shared her story, how she once found out her fiancé had cheated on her with her best friend. "I thought it would break me forever," she said, "but it didn't. It just changed who I was willing to be for myself." Jose looked at her, surprised by her calm strength. "How did you move on?" "I started small," she replied. "I baked. I painted. I built something from nothing. You have to find something that's yours, something no one can take away." He smiled faintly. "I've always dreamed of opening my own ice cream shop." "Then do it," she said without hesitation. "Sell sweetness, Jose. Remind people and yourself that life can still taste good." For the first time in days, he laughed, a real, honest laugh. "You make it sound easy." "It's not," she replied, "but it's worth it." When they said goodbye, Alejandra handed him her card. "Call me if you ever need help." He walked away lighter, unaware that her kindness wasn't just comfort. It was destiny quietly knocking. Because sometimes the people sent to heal us are angels disguised as strangers. Weeks passed, and the pain slowly began to lose its sharp edges. José Daniel no longer woke up with anger, just quiet resolve. Each morning, he pushed a small wooden cart through the park, filled with his dream, colorful ice cream, fresh fruit, and the scent of second chances. People laughed when they first saw him, the once promising engineer turned street vendor. But Jose didn't mind. Every scoop he served felt like reclaiming a piece of himself that betrayal had taken. Then, one afternoon, a familiar voice called out again, "Jose!" He looked up. Alejandra stood by the cart, her hair tied back, her smile as warm as sunlight after a storm. "So, the rumor is true," she said, crossing her arms playfully. "The best ice cream in the city belongs to a man who lost everything." He chuckled softly. "Lost, yes, but also found something better." She bought a cone, strawberry, her favorite, and sat beside him under the old oak tree. "I've been watching you," she admitted. "Not in a weird way. I just admire what you're doing. You turned pain into purpose." He looked at her, this woman who seemed to understand every unspoken word. "You helped me more than you know," he said. "When everyone else disappeared, you showed up." Her gaze softened. "Maybe that's what love really means," she said quietly, "showing up when the world walks out." From that day, Alejandra started helping him after work, handing out ice creams, talking to customers, sometimes just keeping him company as the sun dipped low behind the trees. The business grew, slowly but beautifully. Children laughed when they saw the colorful cart. Couples stopped for a sweet bite after long walks, and José, for the first time in months, smiled with his whole heart. One evening, as the sky burned gold and the day turned to dusk, he turned to Alejandra. "Do you ever wonder why things fall apart?" he asked. She smiled. "So we can build something stronger." He hesitated, his voice trembling slightly. "Alejandra, do you think people like us, broken people, can still fall in love again?" Her answer came like a whisper of truth. "Only the broken know how to love deeply, José." That night, as they packed up the cart, their hands brushed, and for a moment the world stopped. Not in pain this time, but in quiet, breathtaking peace. It wasn't fireworks, it wasn't a confession, it was something purer. Two souls meeting in the ashes of everything they'd lost, realizing that love had been waiting there all along. The air was crisp that morning, the kind that carried both promise and unease. Business had been good. The ice cream cart that once stood alone in the park was now a small shop, painted sky blue with the scent of vanilla and laughter floating through its open door. Inside, José Daniel arranged cups on the counter while Alejandra wrote down the day's sales. They had built everything from nothing, not through luck, but through honesty, sweat, and the quiet strength of two wounded souls healing side by side. "Can you believe this?" Alejandra said with a grin. "People line up for your ice cream now." He smiled softly. "No, they line up for your smile." She laughed, a light, genuine sound that filled the room like music. For a moment, everything felt perfect, until the door opened and the past walked in. It was Damaris. Her once flawless posture had wilted. Her clothes looked expensive but empty, like armor that had lost its purpose. She froze at the sight of José behind the counter, apron on, hands dusted with sugar, his eyes calm and kind. "José," she whispered, "I didn't know you owned this place." He set down the scoop and nodded politely. "What can I get you?" She hesitated, glancing at Alejandra, who stood quietly by the register. I was actually looking for a job," Damaris said finally, her voice trembling. "Things haven't gone well since I left the company." The words hung in the air. For a long moment, José said nothing. The man who once would have begged for her love now only felt compassion. He wiped his hands on a towel. "I'm sorry to hear that," he said softly, "but this shop is already full. We have everything we need." Her eyes filled with regret. "You hate me, don't you?" He looked at her gently. "No. I just finally understand that love isn't about possession. It's about peace. And I've found mine." Alejandra stepped forward, offering Damaris a cup of strawberry ice cream. "Here," she said kindly. "On the house. Everyone deserves something sweet, even on hard days." Damaris took it, her hand trembling, tears threatening to fall. As she left, the little bell above the door rang softly, a sound of closure, of endings and forgiveness all at once. When she disappeared down the street, Alejandra turned to José. "Are you okay?" He exhaled, eyes still on the door. "For the first time in my life," he said quietly. "Yes." The sun was setting behind the hills, painting the sky in soft amber light. Inside the little ice cream shop, the laughter of children mixed with the sound of clinking spoons. It felt like music, the kind that only plays when life finally makes sense again. José Daniel stood behind the counter, watching families smile as they tasted the flavors he had once dreamed of creating. Every scoop told a story of loss, of resilience, and of finding sweetness after bitterness. He turned to Alejandra, who was wiping the tables with her usual gentle grace. "You know," he said softly, "I used to think success meant building something big, like towers, bridges, or companies, but now I realize success is this. She looked up, puzzled. Ice cream? He laughed. No, peace, the kind that stays when everyone else leaves. Alejandra smiled, setting down the cloth. Peace is rare, she said, but when it finally finds you, it never lets go. They stepped outside, standing beneath the sign that read, Helados Esperanza, Ice Cream of Hope. The name had been her idea. The streets shimmered under the glow of the streetlights. Couples walked hand in hand, the smell of fresh waffles drifting through the air. Do you ever think about the past? Alejandra asked quietly. Sometimes, José replied, but not with pain anymore. I think about how everything I lost brought me here, to this moment, to you. Her cheeks flushed softly, her eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. You're starting to sound like a poet, Mr. Ice Cream Man. He smiled, that quiet, grateful smile that only a man who's been broken and rebuilt could wear. No, he said. Just someone who finally learned that happiness doesn't come from what we have, but from who we become. They sat together on the bench outside, sharing a small cup of vanilla and strawberry, their favorite. For a while, they didn't speak. They didn't need to. The silence between them was full, of gratitude, of healing, of peace. As the shop's lights flickered softly in the window, a passerby stopped and smiled. You two make a beautiful couple, she said. Alejandra laughed. We're not, she began, but José gently interrupted, his eyes warm and certain. Yes, he said, we are. And in that quiet twilight, surrounded by the scent of sugar and dreams reborn, José Daniel realized that sometimes the sweetest revenge is living in peace, with a heart full of love and a life rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal. Sometimes life shatters us just to show us what truly matters. José Daniel lost everything, his marriage, his home, his pride, all because of betrayal. But from that pain, he built something money could never buy, peace. And Alejandra, she didn't just help him rebuild a business. She helped him rediscover himself. Because sometimes the person who appears in your worst moment isn't there to save you. They're there to remind you that you were never broken beyond repair. When José handed Damaris that cup of strawberry ice cream, he wasn't serving dessert. He was serving forgiveness. The flavor of peace is sweeter than revenge will ever be. And maybe that's what this story was always about. How life tests us, how love heals us, and how humility turns endings into beginnings. Life lesson, the 3 laws of inner peace. Checklist 1, let go, don't retaliate. When betrayal hurts, the mind wants revenge, but the soul seeks peace. Letting go isn't weakness, it's choosing to heal instead of hate. 2, rebuild with purpose. José didn't wait for justice. He became his own justice. Use your pain as the foundation to build something new. Even small beginnings can grow into something extraordinary when done with love. 3, value those who stay. Life will always reveal who's real. Not when things are good, but when everything falls apart. Cherish the ones who stay and walk beside you in your darkest moments. They are your true wealth. Sometimes the universe takes everything away just to make space for something better. For José Daniel, that something wasn't success. It was serenity. For Alejandra, it wasn't a promotion. It was connection. And for Damaris, it was a lesson. Because in the end, every betrayal is just a detour, leading us closer to who we're meant to be. If you were in José's place, would you forgive and move on, or would you confront the people who broke your trust? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. And remember, no matter what life takes from you, your peace is the one thing only you can protect. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to give it a like. Share it with someone who might need this message today, and subscribe for more life-changing stories that remind us No fall is final, and no ending is ever the end.